This review of Might and Magic 8 may contain spoilers and coarse language, and if you haven't checked out the previous two parts to this one, I would highly recommend that you do before continuing. No, for real, it's part 3, dude, come on. So after the success that was Might and Magic 6, and the kick in the rear that was Might and Magic 7, what's next for this world? Did 3DO learn their lesson not to rush a game out the door? Nope! 2000, Might and Magic 8, a year later again. And this one is way more obviously rushed. Like big time, super easy to tell. But you know what? It turned out pretty good this time. Let me start out by saying that yes, this is better than Might and Magic 7, but not 6. And I have a lot of fun with this game, on par with 6. Well, how much fun you may ask? Well, where do you think Stolkin came from? There it is. Well, okay, I remembered it wrong and added the L, but yeah, that's where my name came from. So let's just jump into this game that, even though is rushed, like way more than 7, is still a pretty damn good game. So as a continuation in the story of Might and Magic 6 and 7, this actually has little to do with it. The plot this time is that a big madman named Eschaton set up a crazy crystal in the center of the continent of Jotame, where Enroth and Antigaric stuck the rest of the races that didn't show up in these games. This time, instead of having the Kriegans, he is using the elemental planes that created the world of Enroth to destroy it, mainly because he still believes that there are Kriegans on Enroth. They're extinct. So, whoops! Little late there, dude. Anyway, the point of this game is to stop the world from blowing up. While not as in-depth and crazy detailed, I do like the simplicity of it. Instead of pretending that we have this really huge impact on what we can do, it's more of a, dude, alright, we seriously gotta stop this. Hell, even the choice quest where you have to make certain clans join you, just like in 7, actually have somewhat of an impact on you. They can be hostile to you and they won't open stores depending on where you sided. And even better, they attack specific characters if they're on the enemy side. So if you side with the dragons, dragon hunters will try to kill any dragon in your party. Oh yeah, the party system. Let me tell you something that makes this game crazy good. This time, the gameplay is drastically different. Instead of creating a party of 4, you only make one person. What? Just one? Then how do you get a full party? Hirelings. Just like the previous 2 games, you can have up to 4 hirelings with you this time. Not only that, but they are classes in this game too. And because Jotame is basically South America, you have quite a variety of races that you can choose. While you still have human characters such as knights, clerics, and necromancers for the first part, you also have races like dark elves, minotaurs, trolls, dragons, and vampires. The fact that now races are tied to classes, this kind of makes it harder for you to pick characters. But these new characters are really, really welcomed. You have the Dark Elf, which is sadly overpowered because it has Disarm Trap and Merchant Grandmaster. Right there. Holy crap, it can also Grandmaster Bow and Chain just like an archer. Then you have Minotaurs, who are just like Rangers, but instead of sucking ass, they don't. Then you have the Vampires, which are sadly the weakest class in this game, but they're still pretty decent. They can Grandmaster Dagger and identify monster, but other than that, there's not too much potential. Then you have Trolls, who can just bash your heads in, and they can also regenerate their health, a new skill in this. Then you have Dragons, which thankfully you can't start the game with, but they're still super broken and do way too much damage. Like, they're really broken. And that's kind of the thing. If you know what you're doing in this game becomes really easy. There's a way for you to get 2 level 50 characters right from the get-go, just as long as you know how to get to them. Not only that, you can also come across a dragon very early in the game, which is extremely overpowered right there. You can also get some characters that can join you that are way higher levels than you right at the start. Like you can find a level 15 necromancer the first time you go to Shadowspire. The thing is that while this does come off as way too easy, it's also pretty cool because if you take those characters with you, you can go to places that you couldn't have gone to normally at your level. This is something the other games don't have. Sure, you can find everything at the start of Might and Magic 6, but the problem is you'll still be too weak. In this game, you don't have that problem. You can take characters with you that can make you go to even tougher areas that you couldn't have gone to before. To add on to the easiness, instead of 2 Experts, Master, and a Grandmaster system 7 had, you just have Expert, Master, and Grandmaster. But this time, they tell you exactly where they are, because now you can add notes to your map, and there's auto notes to the map that make it so it points out the exact location of teachers and gives you a good clue of where they are. This is such a huge improvement because now you can check your notes and then look at the map to find them. The only downside is that you actually have to physically look at every house, but if you do that, it's all marked automatically. But seriously, it took them that long for you to add notes to your map? Oh well. The good thing is they still added it. Now, if there's one thing that was improved from 7, it would have been the dungeon design. While not just the dungeons themselves, I do have to give some credit to Dagger Wound Island. Yes, it's actually named that. And yes, it looks like a dagger wound. The thing that makes this stage so great is that it has a pretty good plot explanation for why everything is like a tutorial here. Not only that, you also have some great early dungeons like Balthazar's Lair, which originally is flooded, you have to unflood it, and then it becomes a town. Then you've got places like the Troll's Tomb, which is this giant labyrinth in which you have to find the right staircases in order for you to get to the lowest level. And then there's one of my favorite places, Regna. Regna has this giant labyrinth in order for you to find the right cannonball to stop the pirate raid. Each of these areas are also really unique too, the first taking place in a fortress, the second part being in this giant cave, and the third part is in this giant smuggling area. And my favorite part overall is near the end of the game when you have to go to the elemental planes. In each of these areas, you have to find a keystone, and these keystones are in a variety of different places, with the fire and air ones having their own dungeons dedicated to them. But in earth and water, they're there already, but they're all at the end of the area. While the only one I'm a little bit handshaky on is the earth one, that's only because earth elementals are really goddamn tough in this game, but that's probably the toughest enemy in it. The other thing that this game has a lot back of is charm. Might and Magic 7 was lacking a little in charm, sure, but in 8, oh my god, is it back. But with 8, it's a little bit more in your face. People talk to you really cheesy-like, and there's even characters like in Ravage Roaming. There's a pirate who's just like, I'm glad you guys are saving the world. I couldn't do that. Thanks for doing that. You just get dumb shit like that, and it's funny. Even better is the Cheese Quest, which, while it offers some pretty good dungeons, also has dungeons shaped like a mouse, a cheese wheel, and Mickey Mouse. Unbelievable. But on a sadder but still charming side, there's a dungeon dedicated to a Might and Magic fan who passed away before the game came out. In it, you find a magical flute that I'm going to talk about later. But while this game still has way more charm than 7, it's still kinda lazy. Does that lich look really familiar? Well, it's not the only thing. As I said in the intro, Might and Magic 8 is a game that was clearly rushed. And I don't mean in the sense of it being like game-breaking or having a lot of bugs, there's not that many. But they didn't fix that many either. The issue is that it reuses a lot of things in it. All the spells from Might and Magic 7 are identical in this game. The only difference is that there's Dark Elf, Vampire, and Dragon categories. You want to know even worse than that? They reuse geometry from Might and Magic 7. No, for real, there are parts of this game that reuse the exact geometry from Stone City in Might and Magic 7. Exactly. The only difference is a fresh coat of paint. And that's kind of shitty, really. That's how rushed this game is, that it reused the exact geometry from previous games. Not only that, so are a lot of the sprites, and just, man, that really blows. It was clear that this game was rushed because it just uses, like, everything that was in Might and Magic 7. Which just kind of ruins this game in some aspects, but it still is an improvement otherwise. There are a few miscellaneous improvements, though. The first is that guilds are just gone now. You don't need any damn membership in order for you to get spells. Along with that, spells are combined into a single store now, so fire, air, water, and earth is all in the same place. Same with spirit, mind, and body. There's also a better sense of progression in this game. For example, Smuggler's Cove is a place you go to early in the game in order for you to give a letter to Aryan Hunter, so you can blackmail him. But after that point, all the enemies that were hostile in it become guards, and then nobody attacks you. Archromage is also back, and this time it came with a new expansion pack. There's a lot more cards this time around, and it makes the game a lot more hectic than it used to be. So it's still pretty good. However, one downgrade that's unique is the Obelisk quest. This is bad because now you have to wait on a certain day in order for you to get the key to open it. Also, not that much good stuff this time either. I don't know if you've noticed, but this game is way better looking than 7. Not as crisp as 6 was, but definitely much more vibrant. Because of this, you get to see some pretty exotic areas in it, like Shadowspire, where the grass doesn't exist. It's all ash! Crazy! And then there's Ravage Roaming, which has some nice autumn leaves cascading on the dirt around it. 3D models this time around don't look as bad. Like, yeah, sure, there's a few of them that look a little weird, like Frederick over here, but the new exotic ones look very cool. I also welcome the new HUD design along with it being in widescreen. This is a great improvement. It really shows you that you didn't need to have the game in that tiny ass square. Now it's all wide and you can see everything around you too. Though I don't like that now you just get a star to indicate effects as opposed to just, you know, having them all there. Kinda sucks that I have to hover over and check, but I mean, at least it's something. However, there are some glitches with this game, like how there's some invisibility texture things which just kinda look weird, and I don't know why. It happens in both software and hardware mode. Audio-wise, oh boy! Well, not much has changed in the field of sound effects. Even some of the voice acting is the same. Oh my god. This game still has its cheesy voice acting in it though, so I always welcome that no matter what.
I can use this now. I can use this now. I've learned it.
God damn, she's just so ditzy. And of course, there's the music, and this game does have an excellent soundtrack. This time around, much like the races in this exotic area, you're going to hear a lot of very unique tracks in this game, many of which are very spectacular. There are tracks that I love like Garrett Gorge and Regna, but my favorite for sure has to be the Plane of Water. This soundtrack is for sure a step up from the 7th game, but I think with the 6th one it might be on par. I'm not really sure, but what I do know is that this game does have a very, very good soundtrack, and it's something that I listen to a lot more than the other two. I guess that would mean I like it more. Huh. So now here's the question. Recommendable? Yup, I would absolutely recommend Might and Magic 8. Yes, it has its rushed bullshit there, but what came out was a nice looking game that has some proper balancing to an extent. Even though there's some overpowered, at least nobody's underpowered. Now here's the thing. I recommend this, and I also recommend that you play this one first. This is the easiest game in the franchise, and I think it'll be the one that you'll have the most time being more accepting to. Because it gives you a lot of nice things, and it has a lot of the same improvements that 6 and 7 don't have. So if you are going to play any of them, I would highly recommend you start right here. If you're wondering how I would compare these three, it would be with the New World computing dungeons. You see, in all three games, there's a way to find a dungeon that leads to New World Computing's office, recreated in the game engine. In 6, you can go to it right at the start. There's a hidden fly scroll that you can use, fly up to a certain part of the building, and you teleport to the Dragon Sands. So as long as no dragon kills you, you can eventually touch the wall here and go right to the office. Filled to the brim with all named employees, fun design, and when you find John Van Canheim, the creator of this series, he's a goblin, they give you the fear status, and you can kill him. It's cute, it's fun, a little hard because you actually have to fight people there, but hey, it's pretty good. Might Magic 7 is at the end of the game. It's in a small bottle that you teleport to upon examining, and you're brought to some boring gray and gray office with Gray and John Van Canheim, who is a blaster guy. And they got rid of all the things that happened in 6? What the fuck? And there's a little guy they forgot to make peaceful. Oh, that's great. Now with Might and Magic 8, Remember that flute that you had when you were at the Tomb of the Dead Fan? You need that flute in order for you to access this one. In here, there's a lot of improvements with the textures being a lot nicer, and everyone became pirates instead of boring-looking people. And even better, they have John Van Canine being one of the wizard pirates in it. The only problem is, the geometry's copied from 7. So yeah, there you go. 6th is definitely the best one, and it has way more effort put into it. 7 is still alright, but it just looks more boring than it actually is. And 8 is a good step up, and I'd have to say it's the second best. So yes, I'm glad that you could join me on this journey. This is part 3 of 3, so after all, there's nothing after this. Yup, afterwards Enroth ceases to exist, and there's nothing else after. Yup, nothing. Nothing at all. Yup, this is it. This is the last part. Yup. Nothing happens. Something happens. Oh! Are you really immune to everything? Guess not.